Uganda, I don't encourage that sense of collective responsibility that more or less mean collective guilt. For the positive attributes, I welcome them. But where I find that it is a drawback from the reforms, from the progress, from the strides this country has made, I don't agree with you. Number two, when we sit here, as we are discussing about this, and we just have 1 solid month for the presidential nominations, 1 month like this to the presidential nominations, how prepared is this country, Uganda? How are we prepared when we see other parties do not have the liberty to hold their primaries, to hold their delegates conferences, like we've been enjoying in NRM? For me, even if they were to be given that opportunity, I wanted it. So that at the end of the day, when we go to the polls, people of Uganda, the people, can choose from a conscious and an informed position.
Well, at that point...
To me, Sibasi, these are the issues that are affecting me. I want to win, yes, but I want to win in a free and fair environment, so that the shadow attorney general, at the end of the day, when their performance is not good, they don't have excuses.
I understand.
We shouldn't be giving them excuses.
I understand the expression that you are trying to make here, because I do understand, even because of your openness in Parliament, in your party caucus, you have been branded a rebel and in most cases kicked out, even out of party caucuses. But getting back to you, Honorable Nwagara, the shadow Attorney General, the opposition in Parliament, government comes with what we call sham electoral reforms. Midway, government says that they are not ready for those electoral reforms we're going to discuss about them. A man like then former Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, General kind of would appear saying that there is no money. There is no money. Do you find that strange? An Attorney General, a principal legal advisor to government, you table what you call proposed electoral reforms, and midway, again, you are the same minister that comes and says you do not have money.
Well, maybe what General Kahinda had proposed was the establishment of a constitutional review commission to review the constitution with a view to come up with a final draft of areas the constitution needs to be amended. But of course, along the way, again, it came up and said there is no money to run this commission. But I've told you, it's not in the interest of President Museveni to have any meaningful reforms, because any meaningful reforms, electoral reforms, would mean getting him out of power or limiting his exercise of absolute power, which he is exercising now. And that's why you even now see that we are going into an election where he is literally the sole player in the field. All other political parties and political party leaders' hands have been totally tied. They are in a race, fighting race, but their hands are tied. You cannot address a rally, but for them they freely address rallies. You cannot, now for example, we've gotten this chance to come here, but how many people will be able to get chance to have television shows, radio talk shows, and the like, and how many Ugandans then will listen to them?
From a legal perspective, I would like to know from you, it is the very Supreme Court that directed government with even a deadline to come up with electoral reforms. Now, around the corner, there is no political will from the executive. Parliament is being let down by the executive.
Yes.
What implications does this act of the executive have on the doctrine of separation of power in this country?
I can,
is the judiciary still relevant?
I can tell you with confidence that the regime we do have has absolutely no respect for the doctrine of separation of powers. That's why all the powers are fused into one person. One person who appoints the judges, who even goes ahead to call judges at times to direct them on how to make decisions on matters. The same person who runs parliament, you know, is the one who appoints chairpersons of committees of parliament. And even decides which committee an honorable member like Sekikubo should join and the like. So he has no respect for aspects of good governance, which include rule of law and the doctrine of separation of powers. So the only hope for Ugandans is when that final time comes and either God calls him or something happens and we begin to rebuild afresh. But otherwise, his disdain for the principles of good governance and rule of law are clear, and there is no hope that President Museveni can lead this country to a full democratic path and democratic transition.
Those are the views of the shadow advocate, yes. Sekikubo?
Yes, what I would like to say is that there has been a time when courts have decided matters against government. It has been happening. You remember how the courts nullified the referendum? You know? And others, and other major points. You remember, even in 2006, I think, and 2011, courts were almost overturning the election. But what I would like to say is that, okay, leave out President Museveni. Put him out of the picture.
Sekikubo, do you want to tell people who are watching us tonight that actually there is a total respect of doctrine of separation of power in this by the executive, when we see, when we have seen, you are trying to make a case that there have been instances when
yes, and I wanted to qualify my statement by saying that you cannot have a situation where you have total. Yes, there are flaws here and there, but also let's look at ourselves. If, as you've stated, there should be the separation of powers, and the judiciary fails on its job, where you have judges who are confronted, who have a matter to adjudicate, and they choose to look the other way. Look at Parliament, where members of Parliament have this Magezi bill for the age limit, and some members choose to bury their heads, and some others stand up. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, President Museveni has had his own shortcomings, like any other leader who overstays in power. But the total mess cannot be heaped on him alone. We have failed this country as Parliament. The judiciary has failed this country. Even other Ugandans who have become silent have also let down this country.
Sekikubo, this is a slippery ground for you to tread on. Because I do understand that as we speak now, last week you were back to court over a matter that happened in 2010, the illegal gun shooting that you had in the party primaries in 2010. Up to now, that matter has not been resolved. It came in 2016. We have seen it again resurfacing in 2020, a case of about 10 years now, if we were to talk about it. Do you want to tell us that the courts do not know what they are supposed to do, or there is interference?
The court has its intricate process, where the state withdraws the case, or where court dismisses the matter, and the state reinstates that case or that matter. That is a court process. But as to who, because courts are moved by individuals, and even under the facade of a state, they are individuals, they are persons like you and me. For those who are behind that mischief, may not necessarily be on the orders of the president. They are individuals who also have their personal agendas, but who might be hiding behind this institution of state.
We have run out of time, and as we come to the end of this show, Honorable Nwagaba, your last statement on the program.
Well, yeah, thank you, Timothy, for inviting me and my colleague to this wonderful program where we are looking at 2021. It's definitely not going to be an election that is worth talking about as being free and fair, because everything is showing the ground is tilted in favor of one person. But as I told the commission when they came to the committee, that if they wanted to hold this election based on the rules by the Minister of Health, not under the rules passed by Parliament, we'll go through it through a defiant way. And who knows, through defiance, maybe some good things may come out.
Well, Sekikubo, also in about 30 seconds,
Yes.
what do you make of it as we kick out of here?
We are approaching a very difficult situation in this country, where we are expected to participate. You see, an election from A to Z is how people interact and perceive you, the candidate. But in circumstances like we are now, where candidates are going to be campaigning and seeking for people's mandate in an opaque situation, where they cannot involve the people, where the candidates cannot interface with the people, it is a big challenge. But my proposal, though, is that please, Electoral Commission and government, try to make it possible for people to be able to make an informed choice, rather than using the bogey of COVID to stifle people's aspirations and the ability to choose leaders of their own choice.
Our time is up. Thanks the two honorables for being part of the show, and we shall always look ahead to have you here next time. Thanks very much, Honorable Sekikubo.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Much, Honorable.
It was a pleasure being here.
Well, we bring the show to an end, and we say stay better but not bitter. And always remember that Uganda is bigger than all of us.